can tell you can tell that the people that run this place actually take a lot of pride in it, and just from the general lack of violence and anything negative, um, as far as people, trying to hustle each other. You notice there's no gambling. Everybody is being pretty respectful, and it obviously is the kind of place that's almost like neutral territory. Nobody is allowed to just get over on anyone else here, and so in a very fundamental way, you guys definitely start feeling a little bit at ease finally. Um, as this happens, you do hear somebody kicks on some music on a jukebox far in the corner, and a waitress shuffles over to you, a little diminutive halfling with big furry feet and bright purple lipstick and hair, kind of waddles over to you quickly on her oversized thighs, and she looks up and just waves a hand over towards a table in a far corner of the establishment. You see that the table is clean, and it has a large bench pulled up next to a normal size table, which would easily accommodate you, Ymir. You also see that she turns back towards the bartender and waves a couple fingers over her head towards her boss. The boss nods at her, seemingly saying, go ahead and take their order. The waitress quickly waddles over to the table that she was ushering you guys to and waits for you guys all to take a seat. She appears rather impatient as there are a lot of patrons to attend to. You'd say that probably 90% of the seating is full tonight. So, you guys want to follow
Does
along?
this waitress speak a language that Ymir understands?
Oh, she hasn't said shit. She's just
Okay,
basically using uh, customer service shorthand. You know what I mean? So,
gotcha.
Yeah, I'll follow.
okay. You start falling over, all of you.
Say,
I'm gonna head to the bar.
Okay. You turn and you head on over to the bar, and as you start approaching, you notice the bartender kind of give you a sly look sideways, kind of wondering why you'd want to come up here after your group obviously already pissed her off. As you slide up to the bar, are you wanting to sit far from?
I'm not sitting. I'm just gonna like peer my body over.
Okay.
Not necessarily the counter, but basically kind of lean on it
Okay.
and trying to see if I could get her attention to come over to me.
Okay, you lean against the counter as your friends are. You guys did want to go ahead and sit down, is that right?
indeed.
Okay.
On my way to sit down, though, I did want to kind of look around and see if I can find if there was maybe like a besides just the bar, maybe a counter where there's other items being sold just besides just food and drink.
You look around and you see that there appears to be kind of an additional section that's walled off with uh, heavy mega damage bars. And you can tell right away that this is like a little vendor, not quite a kiosk, but like a little vendor's counter. And behind the bars, off in the corner of the room, you see that this small toad like individual. Give me 1 second. Here we go. This small toad like individual
Mm.
uh, is standing there counting fistfuls of universal credits and smoking on a cigar that looks strangely similar to the ones that Blitz hooked you guys up with earlier. There's a weird pale grayish green smoke wafting out of it in thick plumes each time he takes a deep inhale, but you'd see that he never seems to take it away from his mouth. He just keeps doing it with every breath as he stands there counting money. He seems to be giggling to himself very softly as he's looking down at his lucre, and he seems extremely pleased with the night's profits. You don't notice anything else that assuming about him. He seems fairly plain, and there doesn't seem anything extraordinary about him at all. You notice, though, that there are several different pouches in front of him, and whatever the hell is in him, you can't even guess. You're not sure. He doesn't seem to have inventory set up behind him like normal. It seems like whatever he's selling, it's just in these 3 small, it almost looks like dice bags. One is leather, one is felt, and one appears to be maybe silk. They're each about the size of the palm of a full-grown man's hand. And other than that, they don't seem to have any weird symbols or anything at all on them. Okay. At this, you do start looking around a little more intently, and as you look around, now you're noticing that as you lean forward just a bit, you're able to see around the kind of corner of the bars and his little work area. You see that down on the ground there are several duffel bags that look like large military canvas duffel bags, but you're not sure at all what's in them. And whatever this guy's business is, he doesn't seem to really be advertising. So, yeah, not exactly sure what he's selling. Okay, at this point, you go ahead and sit down at the table. Akama, you're leaning over trying to get the attention of the bartender. She looks over and notices you and makes a kind of impatient gesture with one finger telling you to hold on a minute because she's busy. And as she keeps really hurriedly trying to get people their drinks and take orders, you look around and you notice that there's lots of really good looking food on the table, man. You're starting to get you're getting a grumbly tummy. Grumbly tumbly. You also see that there are several different kinds of native earth animal heads mounted and stuffed as trophies, but you're also seeing lots of exotic and interesting variations of these and other creatures alien to this world as well. And this definitely looks like a place that's been here for at least a little while, and that locals probably spend a lot of time, money, and energy on kind of not just patronizing this place, but also protecting it. This seems like a real bastion in a hostile land. So as you guys are getting set up, Ymir, you plop down. You're very, very thankful that not only did they make a seat large enough to accommodate you, but it's actually padded. So you get to take a little bit of a voyage into the comforted, posh lands of these smaller, preening humanoids that you associate with so freely. And for just a moment, your ass feels the true dignity of actual padding instead of just a half-petrified stump out in the middle of nowhere covered by a thin layer of moss being
Some people
your idea of
prefer that,
luxury.
though.
That's true. That's true. You take a load off, and as you lean back, you see that out of a small sack, no larger than a loaf of bread, at the waitress's side, she instantly seems to produce a large bowl. I mean, to say large is an understatement. It probably holds about a watermelon size amount of large peanuts. And she produces this thing almost like a magic trick out of this rather small bag. She slides it over on the table in front of you, Ymir. And then she reaches in and she pulls out what appears to be just a large pitcher of water. And she sets that down, repeats the process, and pulls out a very, very large cup, ceramic cup, and sets that down in front of you too. She proceeds to pour you a large, almost pitcher-sized cup of water. And then she turns over and repeats the process where you're sitting, Ren, close by at the adjoining table.
Can I ask her real quick? The gentleman behind the counter over there, what does he sell?
Oh, she nods and she says, oh, he's simply the money exchanger.
Okay.
Okay. At that, she turns back around and starts heading off for just a moment. And over her shoulder, in English, she says, "I'll be right back for your order. Just one moment." And she hurriedly goes over to where somebody's impatiently snapping their fingers over their head, demanding her attention.
What a dick.
Okay, at this, you guys...
Are there menus that were on our table or anything, or are we just expected to kind of...
As you look around, you do see that they're up on the wall. There's a board where just a few dishes have been written up there. And essentially, you get the impression that it's just, half a dozen just basic draft beers. And then you've got some different hard spirits. And then several different dishes, including, beef, pork, chicken, and then vegetables, as well as, noodles and some breads. So for the most part, it's kind of, whatever it is that you're in the mood for of traditional kind of like earth fare like that. Now, you also see that there are 3 options that are for inhuman patrons. One of them is called Rough Ground, which you all know is basically, it's basically like a mashup of leftover meat that's left to sit for a while and rot just a bit, and then a whole bunch of extra mashed up like bone meal is thrown in, as well as a bunch of marrow. A lot of times it'll also contain a whole bunch of blood, and it's just kind of mashed together and kind of formed into some patties, and it's actually consumed raw like that. Then there are 2 other ones that one is for more for creatures that have more of a mineral diet. That's just kind of some different minerals and sediments, seasoned, strangely enough. And then the last one is something that is for alien physiology that can't handle any kind of earthbound bacteria or contaminants whatsoever. So it's more of just like a stale, completely sanitary and sterilized version of food. But it does have nutrition. And other than that, that's about it. There's also a few kind of local staples, something called nachos that you've never heard of, as well as some things like French fries and onion rings, a few side dishes. So and that's what you see on the board. Unfortunately, Ymir does not comprehend these strange scratching markings
While Akama's at the
and sigils.
bar, I will try to translate as best to him what the different things are.
Okay. For the most part, you're kind of unfamiliar with a lot of it, Ymir. You do understand beef. Cattle are actually something that it's kind of a guilty pleasure. You shouldn't really enjoy it that much, but they are extremely tasty. And at the mention of rough ground, you actually hear your stomach let out a loud kind of roar, because that's actually kind of a delicacy that your people usually don't get to enjoy, but where you go as a tourist, they usually have this as a kind of staple, and you have found it to be fucking delicious. Delicious. So,
basically like giant haggis then. I got you.
Yep. Okay, so you guys get the lowdown on what they're serving. Dex, as you look up, you see the board as well, and you see what's on the menu. Guys, I know our time, it looks like we're actually over time a little bit. How are we doing?
I'm still good.
I think I'm actually okay. I don't think I'm doing tonight.
Okay.
Me too.
Are we wanting to shoot for another hour or so and see
Up
where
to
we're
you.
at? Okay. All right.
Maybe like half an hour for me, if I'm honest. Usually around 8.
Okay.
'Cause, yeah,
And wait, what time is it there now? 7? Like 10 after 7?
7:23.
7:20, so like another half hour, 35 minutes.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
something like that.
Okay, yeah. Okay. So you guys get the lowdown on what is being offered. The bartender looks over at you finally, Dex, and asks pleasantly enough, "What can I get you?" By this point, the waitress has come back over to you guys and is starting to take your order, so you can figure out what you're wanting to order as well. Dex, what do you want to tell her?
Hey, good evening, aloha. I do apologize for my companions earlier today, but I want to go ahead and give this to you.
Okay, at this, she
And
goes,
I
kind of makes a humph noise, but you sense something playful in it. She's not as mad as she was, definitely. Okay?
go ahead and produce 25 credits to pay off the situation that just arose, and I went ahead and add another 25 credits just for the how you call it
Inconvenience?
inconvenience. Yeah.
Okay. As you do so, her eyes definitely brighten a few shades, and she gets a sly little smile across her face. And she nods, and as she accepts the credits, go ahead and reduce your credits by 50.
Yeah, I'm doing it now.
Okay. As she accepts those, um, her smile widens, and she says, "Ah, a gentleman of honor." She says, "That is a rare commodity in these parts." She says, "What is it you're doing around here?"
We are basically gathering together for some type of event. We're just looking to gain more knowledge of the area just for the time being before we set off on our adventure.
Okay. Uh, at this, her eyes like narrow a little, and you see her look a lot more serious, and she says, "Event, huh?" She says, "I think I know what you're talking about." She says, "It sounds like you may be joining these fellow mercs coming through looking for employment, yes?"
Yes, that is very correct.
Okay, at this, she leans back, and as she starts cleaning a shot glass with a towel, um, she looks you over pretty thoroughly. And as you're standing there leaning against the bar, it finally dawns on her. She says, "I knew there was something about you," and her face brightens considerably. She actually seems relieved for a moment, and she says, "Truly, you're an Atlantean, aren't you?"
How can you know?
Easy party.
Okay, at this she gets a kind of timid smile and blushes a little and puts her head down, and she says, "It's not often we get one so attractive through these parts."
Hey,
And she kind of looks off to the side a little bit, almost yeah, like in a shy way. So
nice.
okay.
So what kind of beings do you usually come around these parts?
Okay, and
Oh,
at this she kind of comes back to her senses a little bit and shakes it off, and she looks over at you and she goes, most of them are locals with skin like a rhino's ass." She says, "Something about this area," and then she stops and looks really serious. Now as she stops, you realize as you trace her eye line that she's looking over at somebody who's just come in from outside. They actually approached quite silently, and this takes you a little bit by surprise because of the massive bulk that they carry on their frame. Um,
Ooh.
this is the individual. This human penis comes striding through the the tavern with an air of ultimate superiority and confidence.
Just
He
like a
looks
penis.
right. He looks absolutely like he feels he owns this place and maybe this whole town. And as he steps forward, you actually see that he's wearing a very crude and roughly made um, little badge of brass right on his lapel. And in the middle is roughly scratched the word mayor across it. As he comes in, you notice that although he's only about 5.5 feet tall, he's easily 600 pounds. His massive frame literally hangs almost to the floor, with his legs almost being an afterthought, propping everything up in a very unsolid and ill-supported way from the center and disappearing below a low-hanging skirt of flab and flesh. His suit has been actually fairly well tailored to his strange porridge-like body, and it does add a weird and unexpected note of authority to this strange creature. As he waddles forward, his beady, bright blue eyes are fixed burningly right on the bartender. And he moves forward with an incredible amount of speed and grace for one his size. He quickly crosses the span between the door and the bar, and he winds up close to you, Akama. Now, as he approaches, you smell a unbelievably delicious odor of something reminiscent to fresh buttered bread, right out of the oven, and just perfectly toasted, and just the epitome of a delicious warm home baked treat. But the closer he gets, you realize the smell is him. Somehow this
The
foul
honey bun.
creature is is giving off an odor that makes you want to just take a bite out of him. His eyes,
Bite out of that penis.
his eyes look over at you for just a brief moment, and then dart back over to her. But as they do so, you see that his mouth is clicking up and down in a kind of nervous little chattering gesture. And as he's doing that, his teeth are actually digging into his top lip, and large blobs of spittle are bubbling out from the corners of his mouth. And the motion gives you a reminiscent image to something like a ferret or a chipmunk chewing on a treat or a nut. As he gets over to the bar and kind of sidles up to it, he holds up a thick, two-fingered, one-thumbed hand and just holds one of the flipper-like index appendages up to the bartender, and in a gruff manner kind of waves it around, almost like implying she's too stupid to see it. She right away nods, and she has fallen silent at his approach, and right away she fills up the glass that she was polishing with a strange greenish brown viscous fluid kept in a long fluted flask underneath the bar. As she pours this stuff, it makes a disgusting sizzling noise as it hits the glass, and he swipes it up with a greedy snatch, and really quickly downs it back in one fluid motion, spilling a bunch of it along his face and dribbling down the folds of his chin, and accentuating the thick fucking veins that seem to populate the rolls there. All right, as he downs this, he takes a deep, rasping breath, and then looks over at you, Akama, and lets out a pretty nasty, smelling, noxious burp without really any hint of trying to cover his atrocious manners in any way. You do feel a few flecks of that nasty burp, that disgusting sea spray of toxicity float your way on the air with the burp, but you don't really feel anything impact you, so you're not sure if it's enough to really make a dust up over. He eyes you one more time after the burp, just seeing if you're going to do something.
I just give him an okay look, and then I peer back to the bartender and I say, we can continue this conversation later if you want, and then give her a quick wink and then walk toward my party.
What?
Okay. All right. You do, and this whole time she's pretty much been looking down, not wanting to make eye contact with this individual. But at seeing you do this, she just does the slightest little nod, but seems to kind of shrink again when she notices that this individual seems to catch her acknowledgement to you, and his face twists up in a sign that could only be anger on such a distorted and hideous appearance. You notice that right away he seems to flush a deep purple, and he kind of wiggles his head just a little side to side, almost in a little fit of anger. Okay, as you begin walking back over towards your companions, you hear him mutter in some kind of guttural, filthy, low tone, "Fucking Atlanteans." And that's all he says. He definitely says it low enough to try and not be heard. You don't think he would have assumed you would be able to hear it.
I dust it off and keep walking.
All right. All right. Big man. Big man. All right. So you head forward, leaving the words of juvenile imbecility behind you. You don't want any part of the trouble that this guy could fucking generate. You're not sure if he's actually the mayor, but I mean, the reaction of the bartender, she definitely seems like he's somebody not to fuck with. So as you head back over to your companions, they are just finishing up their orders. Did you guys know what you wanted to get?
Indeed. Red, you can go though.
I was probably just gonna do some pork and some noodles. Maybe
Okay.
some veggies.
All right. You
Ymir.
order your food.
I figured
Ymir?
I would get a couple of things maybe for the table just to share as well, like just to kind of like, I don't know what either of these people have ever eaten, and the things that I do know that maybe I like, I would maybe get extra just so that I could be like, hey, try these. But that's about it.
Okay. For 20 credits, you can get a pretty big spread of like pork, noodles, vegetables that there'd be plenty to share. That's
I don't
like
have a huge appetite, so yeah.
okay. So like if you want to take 20 credits off, she goes ahead and pulls out her little transfer device, her financial transfer device, and basically holds it up to your universal credit card and deducts your 20 credit charge, and it goes through showing that you're going to get your services rendered. And she turns to you, Ymir. What are you wanting?
Ymir, after considering his options and hearing how his stomach reacted to the what is the dish called? The giant gruel?
Rough ground, coarse
Rough
ground.
Hearing the reaction to the coarse ground, Ymir orders that instantly for himself but also leans over to the waitress and make sure to order a nice slab of roasted cattle to be delivered to the table. He speaks into the translator and tells her, "I will feed him. Bring me the meat." And also, he buys ale for the table.
Okay.
Hell yeah.
Okay, go ahead. You want like a couple of pitchers?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Go ahead and deduct 200 universal credits. You wanted a whole
200?
you wanted a whole side of beef, right?
Yes.
Okay.
For Wotek, yes.
Yeah, you guys are able to, communicate enough to get this across, and yeah, so 200 credits should be sufficient. And
Okay.
as you head back, Akama, you realize everyone's ordering. Did you want to order anything?
Yeah, let me get a steak with some mashed potatoes and some vegetables.
Okay, and you're just wanting to get enough for you, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead and take 10 credits off of your universal credits.
Yeah.
And all right, excellent. You guys fucking got some grub on the way. She scurries off very quickly.
Purchase.
And and what are you guys wanting to do as you're sitting there?
I'll say to Akama as he joins us, who was that penis you were talking to?
I don't know, it's just a dick.
I need to find some source of shop besides just food. I also need to find a way to make some credits because Ymir just ordered in one meal more than I have on me.
Well, I can give you some if need be. I'll reimburse you half the bill.
Don't like to owe people.
You don't have to owe me nothing. It just fell out of my pocket and I handed it to him.
That's for some reason worse.
All right, so you let them know that you're looking for some kind of shop and to make some money. Do you guys, anybody want to say anything?
Ymir passes the cups around that he ordered. No, excuse me. I don't know if the waitress has come back and
She's
fulfilled
brought your the ale and cups for the
okay.
table.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ymir takes out the pitcher of ale and divides the cups evenly. He fills his two compatriots' cups, then his own last, and he raises it in the air as a celebration for our journey so far.
Raise my cup.
All right.
I'll raise my cup, but then as I smell the ale, I'll have a slight flashback of me casting that spell earlier and having smells stuck in my mask, and I'll do kind of that, that hungover, like, and then I'll just like, when we drink, I will drink, but I'll like do that thing where it looks like I'm drinking more, but I'll just kind of like put the liquid to my lips, and take a baby sip.
Yeah.
Well, you paid respect. That's all Ymir was looking for.
Right
was
on,
the sign
right
of
on.
respect. So
All right.
That's perfectly acceptable.
All right,
And,
you guys start. Go ahead.
Oh, I was about to say, and once the meat is delivered, Ymir takes 2 minutes to personally bring the meat out to Wotek, tear it apart in pieces, and playfully throw him chunks to make sure that his wish was granted. As he's tearing this whole side of beef up, the big bear, he's well fed, and he goes to town on the rest of the carcass and then rejoins the rest of his party.
Okay, we'll say that all of this is playing out rather quickly. You guys are able to get Wotek fed. Your food shows up. You guys have a few rounds of drinks. Everybody starts eating. People try some of the different food that's available, and yeah, you guys actually have a nice meal. You guys do a little bit of a little bit of small talk with the translator going in the middle of the table. And you guys just have a nice time. It's actually pretty decent environment to just kick back and actually catch your breath for a few minutes.
To the translator, I'll tell to Ymir during this whole thing, just one bit that I'll be like, did you see that man that looked like a penis? You'd see if he understands from the translator.
That was my character laughing.
It translates perfectly fine. Very simple concept. Do you want to respond, Ymir?
Ymir hears the translator crack the words that Ren said. He just thinks back to the sight of the actual man that he's referring to, and just there is a it's not necessarily a hearty laugh or a side-splitting laugh, but it's sort of a he completely understands what he's where he's coming from. So it's not mocking or anything like that, but he just laughs because he completely understands what he said because he looks exactly like it.
A manly giggle.
Pretty much. Drunk,
Ren's
manly giggle.
Ren's new goal is to get him to start laughing like Billy from Predator.
Okay.
As I'm taking another sip of my glass, I peer over to the bartender to see if there's any change.
As you look over, you see that she's now leaned over, listening to whatever that other individual is now saying to her. He's leaned forward and seems to be talking very quietly, almost into her ear, and you can tell she's extremely uncomfortable, but whatever he's telling her, he obviously doesn't want anyone even close by to hear. At one point, though, you notice that he leans over his shoulder and he looks at your table and raises an eyebrow and kind of nods over with the side of his head. He's not nodding to you, but he's indicating your guys' table to her as he's speaking. And then he just very quickly turns back around and continues saying whatever it is he's saying to her.
Gotcha.
If I notice any of this, I will be very uncomfortable by it because I don't like anyone looking and paying attention to me.
He's obsessed with his food and drink right now.
How are we sitting? I'm guessing their backs are against the bar? Not against, but their backs are facing the bar?
Correct. You guys are looking at his back right now, and he's between you and her. She's on the other side of the bar. And you guys are basically on the far side of the room in a corner in a couple of tables.
So we all are facing the bar?
Yeah, roughly. You can all see what's happening, so.
I'm just keeping a mindful eye at the bar, but not like staring. I'm more of the lines of periodically just checking.
Okay.
But enjoy my food and drinks.
Okay. All right. You're doing this, and it seems like their conversation ends after a few moments. He turns and looks at you guys kind of sternly, and then he spins on his heels in a almost like little Napoleon kind of hilarious way, and with a little bit more pomp than is necessary, he kind of marches out the door again. And as he does so, you see him produce a small, flat, black disc that he pops in the middle with his fist, and it springs out into a top hat, which he kind of smashes onto his head and heads on out into the night.
He farted or something.
As he does so, the bartender, she quickly heads over to your group, and you guys have pretty much finished up, eating and stuff now. You're just about done. And she heads over to your group, and she very quickly and plainly just says, I was instructed by the mayor to ask if you would be willing to take on a small job for pay in the morning here in town. She says, I've been told to let you know that it involves work in the power station of the town, and that it's critical for the well-being of this settlement. He says something appears to be wrong within the facility, and they need somebody with a talent for machinery to take a look and see if something can be done, or they fear that the settlement itself could lose power, which would be disastrous. At this, almost to punctuate the point, you see that the interior lights of the place, even though there are a lot of candles and lanterns, the electric lights that are on dim considerably, almost going all the way out before they flare back up to life and seem to be once again okay. At this, she just kind of looks at you guys and says, the mayor has offered to give you a free room for tonight, and to meet up with you at the entrance to the facility at daybreak, if you're interested. At this, she just stands and waits to hear what you have to say.
And I look at her and go, do you mind if I ask you a couple of questions?
She nods.
One, does this mayor seem like a fair individual, or is she hiring us just to set us up so
She barks a loud laugh, unable to contain the hilarity of what you just implied, and then kind of gets a hold of herself and says, of course, the mayor is a quite honorable and just man, and the almost mocking look in her eyes tells you everything you need to know about whether or not she really meant that.
Is there any chance of us, this job he's given us, that would actually turn out good for us?
At this, she gets really serious, and she says, I can tell you that our need here in this community is great. We are surely under incredible threat should the power go out. All coastal defenses and settlement defenses rely upon it. And being the only close port to Reflex Point, we suffer tremendous threat from the lake itself as well as from surrounding areas.
One last thing. Do you know where I could possibly get a shaving kit, and then I'll cast Armor of It then with my mask off this time?
Okay. As you cast it, that familiar enchantment goes up, and you notice, we're going to have to make a... Oh, you're just pumping PPE into it, though, aren't you?
The moment, yeah.
Yeah, we need to set up how many it has in its own deal. But anyway, so you go ahead and cast the enchantment, and as soon as you do, that huge, familiar, burly tangle erupts forth from your neck and face, as well as a nice little foaming sea spray.
I'll turn my head to avoid
Too late!
the bird.
Too late, sir!
No, I was
Too
prepping
late.
for that. I was prepping for that. I just didn't get to it, but I was prepping that the entire time.
All right, go ahead and roll a die. Let's just roll a die over it. It's the easiest way to settle it. 10 or above, you make it.
God damn it.
Oh, that nasty, noxious, foul spittle goes flying right into her fucking face.
Apologize immediately.
As a reaction, can I slap it away from her?
It's a bird.
No way.
Ymir
No way.
laughs like Al Pacino and Donnie Brasco at this turn of events.
I will tell you this, Dex, if you were a juicer, you might be able to. That would take some like straight up full on Matrix kind of reaction, but it would be possible for a speedster. I'll put it that way. All right, so Ymir's laughter fucking echoes through the hall. Akamo, are you doing anything right now? As soon as this hits her face, she basically looks directly up at you because you were the one she's kind of communicated with the most. and just looks of she looks appalled. She looks actually in shock because that just happened. And you're sure she's had some fucked up shit happen as a bartender, but she's almost looking right at you to see like what you're gonna say.
I look at her and I say, I'm so sorry.
All right,
Uh,
she
and then
just
I say, is there anything that I can help you out with? Maybe fix something?
all right, she just deadpan as fuck. She just takes out a cleaning cloth and wipes it once down across her fucking face, really slow and exaggerated. And then she turns back to you, Ren, and she goes, I have a razor that I'm going to fucking give you. Just don't ever do that again. Deal?
Fair enough.
Okay, at this, he nods and she just holds up a finger like she'll be right back. And she turns to you, Akama, and she says, No, I'll be just fine. She says, You folks just decide whether you're interested. I'll be back in just one moment. And she turns and very calmly starts walking away.
Wow.
All right.
Man, I was planning on turning away.
And then I look at Ren and I just start shaking my head like, ah.
Oh, I'm gonna have a lot of fun with the techno wizard shit. This is gonna be great. All right, so all right, so
I didn't know this class was gonna be like fucking wild magic and D&D, where everything I do is like, fuck you.
Oh shit. All right, so what do you guys want to be
What are we
doing?
deciding? It sounds like I'm for it, because if anything, we will be more in a nice spot for this area. We wouldn't be like, world renowned, but we'll at least have some type of credibility in this area.
Okay. All right.
You
Most likely, we're not gonna do shit. Me and Mimir, so probably on you. So if anything, we can just be security for you while you work.
Ymir generally agrees because it reminds him of his old mission of helping the lesser peoples in the harsh wastelands of the Russian frontier. And
Okay.
he speaks very clearly into the translator and goes, Help people, first light, we go. And and he just nods his head in agreement.
Okay. All right. We're getting close to where we need to stop, right?
Yes.
How much time do we have left?
I mean, I could go another 10 minutes if you need to finish up. I mean, I'm not
Okay.
going to leave it just hanging. So if you want to taper it off to
Okay. Yeah.
get to a head, I'm
that's
completely
perfect.
okay with that.
That's perfect. Okay, so you guys are all kind of discussing this. It sounds like Ymir's on board. Where are you guys at?
I mean, we should be still at the table, no?
Yeah. I just mean where are Akama and Ren at as far as the discussion? You guys get the sense that Ymir is like on board with trying to help and
Okay.
do this little mission.
So if anything, it's on Ren what he wants to do.
Okay. They look over at you, Ren.
Muted?
I didn't hear that. I'm sorry, it cut out for me a bit.
Oh, sorry. They look over at you to kind of see what you're wanting to do.
You guys think we can trust this mayor for this job? I mean, I don't think we can trust the man, but trust the job.
Currently, from my understanding, Harmony states that no one here is really that trustworthy.
I don't trust anyone, so that's not the issue. It's more the job, not the person.
Like I said, me and Ymir will be posted as sentries while you work.
What?
Whatever that needs to be done on electronics.
What if the job is to punch the electronics?
Then I guess me and Ymir will play rock paper scissors.
I'm in a position right now where I don't have much, and unfortunately I need lots to be able to survive. And I'll just kind of look all around all of this. I'm not bred from a powerful race of beings. I don't have inert magic that just springs forth and does what I need it to do.
If you need a shield, I'll be your shield.
It's not quite.
It's like 80s song lyrics. I love it.
Meatloaf.
Hit it. What are we doing? Let's go. Let's do it.
We should investigate, I guess.
I mean, what do you want him to say though? What do you want Ren to actually like? What's his answer to this? Your companions look like they're wanting to investigate and stay the night, right, guys?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, what does Ren say? I get that you're kind of torn, but like, what are we doing?
Yeah. Let's.
All right.
let's
All
do
right.
this.
Okay, so you acquiesce even though you're nervous about it, and accepting that this is what you're going to do does kind of bring you a little bit of comfort. And you do realize that this is way outside of your wheelhouse, but there's something about your companions and the experience that you've had so far with them that you're definitely feeling like you guys are starting to gel as a group, and that you can count on them to try and help protect you against shit that's just kind of out of your class, which is kind of what you were hoping for. I mean, helps to have a Hulk, right? All right, so you guys agree, and very quickly, Wotek is brought around to a small area that's almost like a stable along the side. He's put up in a small shelter, and after he eats and everything, he gets settled in on some hay and is able to just kind of get nice and comfortable. He's out of the rain. You guys retire to the quarters that are provided for you. Nothing special, nothing really that interesting of note. The night passes pretty quickly, and very, very quickly you guys arise in the morning. Everybody can reset PPE and ISP. You guys are feeling refreshed and rested, and definitely all around you see that the town, as you head on out, is kind of refreshed by the heavy storm the day before. You see roughly that this is what a lot of the docks look like, minus all of the tall buildings in the background. You've got one large building that's kind of right on the waterfront, and then some kind of like loading facilities and docks and everything that reach out into the water. But for the most part, it's not like a huge settlement. There are some small buildings in the back. This facility, this dock, seems to be the main area where kind of, cargo's loaded and unloaded. As you guys walk back, being guided by the bartender over to the power station, you guys get over. I'm sorry, as you guys are getting led over there, the bartender actually takes you kind of the long way around, the way that you drove, Ren. And as you guys walk around, you go over to the transportation depot. And as you get over to the transportation depot, she lets you know that inside there is a shop where they sell a few different kinds of weapons and some basic gear. She asks if you guys are interested in heading in and taking a quick look around before you get started with your job.
Yes.
As she leads you over there, this is roughly what the outside looks like. This is that large area where you picked up your vehicle earlier, Ren. Okay, as you guys get to the exterior of this, she kind of waves a hand towards the entrance and asks if anybody wants to head in and do some quick shopping.
Yes.
Anybody? Okay.
Yeah, I do.
All right. You
Or
go ahead and
maybe
head
not
on
by much.
inside. Anybody want to join him?
Indeed,
Okay.
Ymir would like to, for the promise of seeing other potential smiths. It's been a very long time since he's even seen a blacksmith's anvil, so he's interested in at least looking around. He doesn't know if he's going to buy anything necessarily, but he's just interested in the sights.
Okay. You start heading in as well, and as you do, I assume Akama, you're wanting to head in too.
I want to stay outside and speak to her for a little bit before I walk in.
Okay.
Oh, and Ymir tells Wotek to stay outside.
Okay.
Calmly tells the big bear to
Okay.
rest and stay outside for fear of offending this town's customs once again.
Okay. He nods, and as you all head in, except for Akama, who's talking to her. Akama, what are you wanting to say to her?
What does this job request us doing as far as in work wise? Is there any tools that we need or anything while we're here?
She tells you, and you guys are just hearing the tale, the very beginning of this conversation. She tells you that there's a reactor inside of the power station underground that they believe is starting to malfunction after years and years of it not really being used. Now, at this, she leans in close to you for a second, and you other two don't hear this, but Akama, she says to you, there have been people going in and out of this facility that weren't supposed to be in there. Strange comings and goings late at night, and strange lights shining up into the sky. Our citizens have been getting more and more sickly. Skin is starting to slough off as though from a body submerged in water for months at a time. She says, I believe you've seen this in some of the residents already. She nods inside, and as she does so, you guys all clearly see the proprietor of this establishment, standing behind his seller's cage, and he looks like
Ooh,
this. Okay. And you're starting to see a theme. Okay.
Yeah.
Something seems a bit off. Um, you guys head on into the shop. He quickly starts asking what he can do for you and what you're interested in. Akama, she finishes telling you that, and then she tells you that she thinks that you guys would be wise to invest in some protection from radiation because she's worried that one of the old Nuka cores, she says, might have a crack and be leaking bad. Okay?
okay.
And that's it. At this, that's all she really volunteers. Are you wanting to head in or are you wanting to continue talking?
Continue talking.
Okay. Guys, you're inside and you see that the main wares that look of any interest other than just a regular supply of more mundane things. There's a heavy weapon system, as well as a modular weapon system that look kind of intriguing. A multi-barrel as well as an autocannon variant, then a submachine gun, rifle, and sniper rifle kind of modular system. So the two large weapons on top are their own individual systems, but the one on the bottom is kind of a multi-part attachment, uh, uh, kind of modular unit that you can put together quickly. Um, the prices of the two top units are 20,000 credits, respectively, each, with ammo being one full load of ammo being another five, respectively. And then the bottom modular system is 15,000 and it comes with two fully charged E-clips. The top two both use conventional projectile ammunition. Okay, so there is that. There are 2 large blades that appear about the size of long machetes or short swords. They are of mega damage construction, and they are vibro blades, so they're
Nice.
able to charge up and actually do MDC. These are 5,000 for the pair, but they look to be very well balanced and may even give like a bonus to strike. Okay. Uh, and then finally, the other thing that catches your guys' eyes, which again, there's most of the mundane sundries around, like, duffel bags, backpacks, some dusters, jackets, hats, sunglasses, rope, knives, camping equipment. There's just uh, the majority of what you'd find in a basic, like, sporting goods store or survival store. And then also several small caliber, just like SDC pistols. Um, but the other thing that really catches your eye is these. On the wall, he has got a dozen. Come on. He has got a dozen um, heavy landmines. There are 4 different types, 3 of each, and you would guess that 2 are heavier types made for like anti vehicle, anti monster, and 2 are smaller types, which are more of anti personnel. And you would guess out of each of the types, um, you know, one is going to be about double the strength of the other. So for the heavier ones for vehicles and monsters, there's one that does 4d6, and then there's one that does 1d6 times 10 mega damage. Of the lighter ones that are more like anti personnel, there's one that does 2d6, and then there's one that does 4d6. Okay? And the one that does 2d6 is a fragmentation version that hits a much wider area. Okay? Um, let's see. And so that's about it for most of his stock. Um, is there anything that looks like, is there anything that you guys are wanting to purchase? Are you interested in any of that?
No.
I couldn't afford a single thing here.
Okay.
Ymir might admire the craftsmanship of the vibro blades, admire the sleekness and their design a little bit, even being of a kind of a techno blade or technological blade. He can still respect the craftsmanship in the actual blade itself, the weight, the balance. But he's not really interested in any of this. None of this really excites him
Okay.
too much.
All right, so you guys have pretty much wrapped up in here. As you start heading out without purchasing anything, the shopkeeper makes a couple grumbles and makes a few little curses under his breath at the missed opportunity. But, que sera, sera. You guys head back out into the sunlight. You see the sky overhead still has some large, puffy, high rolling white clouds drifting overhead, just making beautiful shadows cascade across the ground. But you do notice that this landscape is kind of it's muddy. It's not well kept. The buildings are dingy and poorly maintained. And even where it's high tech, it's obviously showing a lot of age and wear. So in a way, it's almost like a frontier town that's just mud streets and rusty iron. Um, as you look around, you do see that this is an area where people are trying to scrabble out some kind of life for themselves, though. As you head uh, further past the side of the transportation hub. Oh, I'm sorry. Akama, did you want to ask the bartender anything
Just a
else?
few more questions.
Okay.
One of the questions is that aside from the radioactive equipment, is there any other tools that we might need to complete this task?
She shakes her head and says, "I don't think so." She says, I think radiation is the rads are the only thing that you really need to be worried about." She says, "But I've never even heard of anyone that's been inside that place, so I might be the wrong person to ask."
Those that have walked into it, well, let me rewind. Has there been any other travelers that took on this quest, or this is the first time it came up?
She shakes her head right away. She says the power has been flowing, so everyone has wanted to stay out.
Okay. And I never caught your name. Uh, you mind if I ask what your name is?
She says my name's BB, and she
Right.
says, "And you are?"
My name is Akia Kamai, but you could call me Akama.
Okay. She nods and she catches the little slickness in your voice you're trying to portray, and she seems receptive. She seems receptive, although this is neither the time nor the place, but maybe a good contact to have and a good friend on a cold
Well,
night. So,
Miss BB, if you're not doing anything tonight, we should get together and have a few drinks.
she's like, "Fool, I didn't tell you my last initial. It's C. BBC, fool." No, no, no. She says, "That sounds like a great plan." She says, "Please just live. Just live. I have a bad feeling about this job. I think you guys can handle it, but it's going to be dangerous. And I want you to really, really focus on just staying alive."
I,
With
s-
this,
I
she looks really,
smile,
really nervous.
I smile, and I do like kind of a little bow, and then I say thank you, and it was great meeting you, and then I walk away back towards the store.
Okay. You walk back over towards the store. Are you wanting to head in and look around?
Yeah.
Okay, you head in and look around. You
Oh,
see
before I go into the store, do I meet up with the party? Are they outside the front
they're coming
door,
out
or?
as you're going in. Yeah.
Okay. So, as I'm making my way through the doorway, I meet up with them two and I say, "Hey, so it looks like some information from the bartender. It looks like we might need some type of radioactive suits. There might be some leakage happening over there. So we might just have to invest in some suits
Okay.
or some type of radioactive protection."
Okay. And what do you guys want to say?
No come in your mere size. Your mere be all right.
You're
Okay.
suggesting that we need radioactive protection due to the job that we were just hired to do?
Yeah.
Then we need
Right
to go talk to
right
the
away
person
you
about
have a
the job.
complete understanding of what that entails, Ren. You completely get all the ramifications of that. Akama, you're a little sketchy. You know that it's the power source that is used by a lot of human technology for like huge power load needs,
Yeah.
but that it's also really dangerous and radioactive. Um,
Oh,
Ymir,
and
you
side note,
basically just know that this is they're talking about the shit that poisons the environment. It's like a toxic plague kind of thing, but you don't have a lot of scientific understanding of it.
Exactly.
Okay?
I look at Ren and I say, "Oh, side note, she said something about Nuka cores being bad. I'm not too sure what that means, but she said that's the reason why we need the suits or some type of gear."
Right away, Ren, you understand that to probably refer to a nuclear reactor.
Well, what we need to do is talk to the person who commissioned this job for us and have them pay for these suits for us because this is part of the deal.
All right, I mean, I'm with it. Can we go and check to see how much or if they have any type of suits in the store?
Yeah, you head in and the bartender's still standing right there. She hasn't left you guys or anything. She was going to walk you
Well,
over to the
yeah,
facility.
I'll say that to her then.
Okay.
As far as the
Yeah, as
Uh
I'm walking in, they're still
if we're
they're
gonna do a
outside
job
talking
for
to her.
you and if we're gonna do a job for this mayor, he needs to make sure that we have the supplies needed to do said job that's separate from our pay.
Okay, she nods and she walks in with you guys. As you go in and inquire about protection from radiation, the shop owner says, um, he says,
Ooh.
I've got some rad hypo sprays that I can sell you for 1,000 apiece. He says it should give you about 20 minutes protection from high
Huh?
radiation levels. He says, but I wouldn't count on it to last any longer. Then he gives you a big, gruesome smile and he says, don't make the same mistake I did. And at this,
Ooh.
he turns around and goes and grabs a little, almost like a little metallic briefcase, and comes back over to the counter and opens it. And inside, there's 6 of these little hypo injector modules. And he turns them around so that you guys can see them. He picks one up out of the padded case and turns it so that you can see that the expiration date hasn't passed yet, and then replaces it back in. And he says, so, what's it going to be? At this, the bartender steps forward, and she says, please put them on this. And she hands a universal credit card over to the shopkeep. He scans it quickly, closes the lid to the case after handing her card back, and slides it through the opening in the shop front. She picks it up and hands it over to you, Akama, and she nods at you, kind of like, all right. And she turns and begins walking out of the store.
Sweet. And I look back at the shopkeeper and I say, is there any other type of radiation gear that you got in your store?
Uh, he just shakes his head and smiles at you.
Okay. All right. Well, we're fucked. Let's go back outside.
All right, you head out. Oh, shit. All right, so anybody doing anything, or are we moving forward?
Yeah, I'm moving with the group. Ymir just pockets the rad spray, not still really understanding what it is, but this was a gift given to him by the bartender lady, which he's a little confused by because she was so mad at him the night before. But he also understands that he's helping her now.
Okay.
So she might be trying to bury the hatchet with this strange thing she's handing him.
So do you want a motion for Akama to open the case and hand you one?
Yes, I thought she passed it out to all three. My bad, I misheard
No,
that.
no, no. It's all in the case right now at the moment, and I have the case in hand.
Oh, gotcha.
So do you want him to give you one, or do you want to just leave it how it is?
Just leave it how it. Yeah,
Okay,
Yeah.
excellent.
Yeah.
Okay, and at this, as she's looking at you, evaluating the situation, she looks at you and just gives you a brief nod, kind of like, just letting you know that she actually wants you to be okay. She's not holding on to anything ridiculously petty. So, okay, you guys continue walking forward, and as you go around the side of the vehicle bay, you guys see that there's a strange automated setup that looks like it's working on vehicles that have been brought in and been paid to maintenance. And this strange setup has these weird kind of droid creatures on these poles that are just hovering over and reaching down and doing automated maintenance. This is actually pretty sophisticated tech for this area from what you've seen, and you're kind of impressed by this. It means that they must have some kind of backing that's actually trying to keep this area as a waypoint, keeping vehicles and transportation and supplies running. So this community is not pointless or insignificant. Definitely, there's some um, pretty important shit happening here as a staging ground, if nothing else. As you continue going past, you now see that vehicle that was in the rear yesterday has been moved around to the front. It's a large land crawler that obviously is what was referenced before, that's able to transport cargo and personnel to some of the local kind of hotspots and locations of interest. It looks like it would be able to hold up to quite a bit of opposition and keep the passengers safe. So it definitely impresses upon you guys it might be a good idea if you're looking to do some exploring in the local area. This might be worth the money to catch a ride. Um, she continues walking you guys around, and as you start getting over towards the
Power
power
plant.
building, you guys see that there's a bunch more just kind of shabby, ramshackled old ruins of buildings that are kind of littering around. Not even most of them aren't even tall enough to be any kind of real shelter. But the whole area just looks disgusting. There's a lot of water pooled up, and you would guess that it's probably pretty fucking toxic. There's a pretty horrible smell that permeates the whole area. And you would guess that over by the harbor and the area that you've been in so far is definitely the nicest area around here. Now, as you guys continue walking, all of the sudden, you guys see huge streaks of flame falling out of the sky and causing you guys to it causes you guys to kind of duck and take cover. As you look around, you see that there are actual meteor strikes happening all around you, not often, but at random intervals and in random locations. Now, as you look back towards the harbor, you notice that there's some kind of defensive system set up back on the roof of the transportation hub, and even one on top of the inn, it looks like, and a few other positions that it looks like these anti-air defenses are for the most part keeping the harbor and the populated areas free of the strikes as they're terminating the meteors while they're still several hundred feet up in the air, easily able to deal with such a small scale threat. But out here in a little bit less important and vital area where there's just some of these ramshackled homes and old structures, the impacts are allowed to happen unopposed. As this is taking place, you guys see several figures run through the streets from dark hidey holes all over the place. You see several dark, shadowy, fast moving, crouched low to the ground figures that appear to look like this. As they're darting about, trying to stick to the shadows, you notice that whatever is plaguing the local inhabitants, these individuals on the outskirts are definitely getting the worst of it. Um, the noises they make are barely human, and the way that they move no longer implies humanity at all. More a savage, bestial, just pure survival instinct driven organism. Um, all right, you guys quickly uh, duck into one of the local structures to get at least a small amount of protection, led by BB. And as you duck in, you guys look around, and this is one of the more populated little areas that you've found so far. It's in some of the best shape, which is why she seems to have chosen it. But as you look around, you see that the average, living area for a person in this region is abhorrent. Yet, by the standards of Rift's Earth, to have the security of metal above one's head is a very rare commodity. So even the people relegated to living in places like this count themselves lucky to not have to be out in the wilderness surviving against the horrors that reside there. As you guys wait a few moments, the meteor strikes abate, um, leaving the sounds of several small crackling fires and metal still twisting from impact and reverberation from shock and vibration. Um, you guys head back out, and as you do so, you get pretty much to the end of town, where you see up ahead the power structure, the generating plant up ahead of you, stark against the sky. You notice that there are several more of those inhuman looking creatures, but they're just skittering around on the periphery of your guys' vision, out ahead and behind, trying to stick to the shadows. Definitely not trying to elicit any kind of response from you guys. They're just trying to stay away from everybody. As you guys come up to the building, very quickly you see that indeed the double doors in the front are high tech in nature. They look very, very powerful and sturdy and able to resist perhaps even light siege weapons. But as the bartender approaches, she pulls out that same card, and you see now that there's a small black chip on the reverse side of the usual side that you would be using to pay for something. She flips it over to that black chip. She holds it up to a small pad in the very center of one of the door panels. And as she does, a little bluish light comes out in a flat plane and scans over this chip. And then the panel completely closes and goes dark again. As it does so, you see the two huge vault-like doors swing open. And as they open, you see that down a massive set of stairs directly behind the doors, this.
Just saying, I'm gonna have to call it here after
Absolutely.
this description or whatever. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, no worries.
Please continue.
No worries at all. Yeah, I'm glad we actually got here. This is what I was hoping to kind of sprint here. I'm just waiting for this image to load, guys. Sorry. Okay, so as the doors open up, you guys look down, and right away a fetid, disgusting alkali odor assails all of your nostrils. You're smelling something that's chemically stagnant and just very, very foul in this, what you would guess is water down at the bottom of these stairs of this entrance. You guys look around, and right away, you guys see that there is no real obstruction. There seems to be a little bit of light down there coming from other sources besides, over your shoulder behind you. And as you look, you would guess that you're probably not going to be in total darkness down there. The bartender very quickly spins on her heels and says, the door will remain open until I return to close it, but I can't stay here. And she turns and begins sprinting back the way she came, pretty much at top speed. Anybody doing anything? Okay.
No.
As
I guess. All right, bye, PB.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was just trying to see, like, where are we supposed to meet anybody down here? Are we gonna keep going on the path? Like, it's just walking aimlessly, trying to figure out where to be?
She turns back over her shoulder and she says, the broken thing is down there. She says, I don't know any more and I can't help anymore. She says, go in and fix it and then come back to the tavern and let me know. And she turns and just runs off.
Okay. Cool.
All right. Okay. So you guys are standing there at the entrance to this. And as you are, you see standing a couple 100 feet away from you guys, you look up and you notice that Harmony is actually standing there.
Fuck?
She's standing there surrounded by her monk companion. And you also see that the entity known as Pilgrim is standing there as well. And all three of them look extremely nervous. Okay? As they seem to be talking quietly and communicating, Harmony looks over at you and she looks shocked, truly shocked that you're standing there. And right away, you guys hear something that actually chills your hearts. Um, from all of your experience, you recognize it as a sonic boom high overhead, and you're kind of wondering what the fuck is going on, because it's very rare that aircraft are able to achieve those speeds on Rift's Earth. It's pretty rare technology. But you hear a very loud and distinct sonic boom. Um, at this, Harmony's face is dipped in terror. She looks up to the sky and very quickly looks over at you guys, and she puts a hand up and pats it down towards the ground, kind of like, get down and get out of sight right fucking now. As she's doing this, you guys hear another sonic boom. Now, you guys are standing right at the edge of the stairs that are inside the vault doors. They're just inside the vault doors. So you guys are right at the entrance, right? Basically standing at the top landing at the top of those stairs. Pilgrim puts her hands over her head, and she crouches down into a small ball on the ground as if she's trying to hide under a bed as a small child. And the monk steps over to the side of Harmony and instantly gets into a battle stance, but is obviously not drawing any kind of weapons or showing any open signs of hostility. Okay? At this, a third sonic boom splits the air, and it's very close to you guys now. Anybody want to do anything at all?
I thought we were finishing like a half hour ago, so I didn't know like.
This is we're wrapping up right here. I just am asking. She's obviously kind of suggesting you guys get out of sight. Are you wanting to do anything, or just
I got a question.
stand at the entrance?
So
Yes.
we're at the top of the entrance of the staircase.
Mhm.
This picture depicts that there's a overhead, but you're saying that they are out in the open with skies.
Oh, yeah, away from you guys, off in an open kind of area with just open ground over it. You're seeing that they're standing off, yeah, a couple 100 feet away from you guys.
And we have a
Away
ceiling
from the
above
building.
us.
No, you're standing right at the entrance to the building. That as you look down into the entrance, that's what you guys see, is
There'd be a
that
view coming, looking
staircase.
up out of it, as opposed to
Yes,
on the
exactly.
upstairs.
Exactly.
Okay.
So that's
I
what's
guess
just
go
inside the
hide.
doors in front of you.
Find cover.
You guys want to
Hide.
step in, kind of undercover?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would step in a bit.
Ymir?
Yeah.
Indeed.
Okay. You all start heading inside, trying to
We'll
kind of
check
rush
as
in.
well, obviously.
He hurries on in as well. And as he comes in, and you all turn around trying to take a surreptitious look at what's going on, you hear a loud whistling, whirring of air, something moving incredibly quickly. And then as you all look up and peer over the lip of the stairs out across the expanse and gap between you and Pilgrim and Harmony, from the sky, you see a costumed figure seem to drift down. All right, guys. I appreciate it, man. I'm going to have to jump off pretty quick here, but yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Thanks for everything, gents. I appreciate it. It was fucking awesome. Another great session.
I keep meaning to do XP with you guys. The beginning of next session, we're going to start. I'm going to give you guys XP awards. And then I was kind of waiting to get some combat in, because that's where a lot of it happens too.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, we'll do it real quick at the beginning of next session. Take 10 minutes to go over some shit, give you guys some points, and then we'll go forward from there. I just don't want to leave it too long. Other than that, you guys just hit me up, DM me if you want me to help with anything, if there's anything you want to work on. And I will catch you next week.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sounds like a plan. Yeah.
Anytime this week, if you feel like doing some Fire Team or Warframe, let me know.
Nice. Fuck
Big
yeah, man.
facts.
Either
Yeah.
of you guys.
Fuck yeah.
Next Warframe for me for sure.
Hi, dog.
All right. You guys take it easy. Thanks again.
Yeah, brother. Thank you.